Hello everyone. Before we get started in this video's transmission, I just wanted to let everyone know that I started a skool, Skool. It's called Awakening Spiritual Alchemy. So if you are interested in this deep alchemy of belief work, this deeply exposing the unconscious to make unconscious by way of plasmic architecture and light codes and light language and sound healing and all of these ways that we sort of interdimensionally exist and communicate and expand and really know ourselves, and awaken to more of ourselves and to allow more creativity through us, more joy, and more stability, more certainty, more safety, not based on outside, world of dreams, representations, the shadows on the wall, but coming from in. It is really about, redirecting the current, what we call reversal current of the ego, really realigning our current to that of knowing that we are in source as we move through these really tumultuous, difficult, challenging, deeply destabilizing and collapsing times. We go into this, I've already recorded the video, so we go into this in the video that, the work is not so much to fly over to the other side of the rainbow, but it is to be here, be embodied, but hold as much awareness of our divine reality as we can, which is what lets us change our minds. We change our mind, and then the physicality that manifests from that changes because we have changed our mind. So this work really assists us in seeing where the change takes place, remembering we have a choice, and uncovering the unconscious or subconscious beliefs that could be making choices for us, which are our allowance. That is us saying yes, but it is at levels that we have deeply forgotten. And so if you are interested in all of the work that we do here, I would love to see you there. There are weekly transmissions. There will be a monthly live group. And it's a nice platform to sort of grow and do different things with. So, and to find other friends, other people in the community. So I'm excited about it. I finally found a place for it to land. All of the trance meditations that I make every week and I sell on my website will be there. So an easy method of delivery if you don't want to buy them each individually. I think that's it. One-on-one sessions are open. The schedule is live. Lots of ways to work together. You could check out all the links below. Thank you guys so much, and take a nice deep breath and get ready. That wasn't weird. Hello everyone. I hope you guys are doing really well. My name is Eva, and I want to thank you for joining me here in this healing transmission. Just taking some nice deep breaths to center ourselves in this moment, to really align ourselves with the center of our being, with our source. The intention of this healing is really to make this time of life more easeful. And I wanted to just touch on, a little bit around the purpose of the work, right? What is collapsing around us and collapsing within us by the way of false structures, or structures based on fear, based on tyranny, based on separation? We do not do this work to stop the world from falling apart. We don't do this work so that we can snap our fingers and everything will magically be whatever 5D means to everybody, right? It is the process of alchemizing embodiment into more expanded dimensionality, holding more awareness of unity. There is, I think, and we talk about this often on this channel, as best we can without judgment, because I truly do not mean it to be that way. But I was watching Scorched Earth Tarot, who is I think my favorite tarot reader on YouTube. Her name's Carrie. She's such a badass. She's so cool. I'll link her most recent video because she did a sort of Aquarius season, sort of energetic exploration check-in. And she always speaks of this in a way that I really resonate with. You know, I wish I could remember the phrasing she used because it was so perfect. It was like, you know, so many people who were doing, I think she was talking about astrology and tarot, but like doing this work sort of wildly underestimating how much more it's going to fall apart. And I know in the work that we do here in alchemical belief, you know, alchemizing our beliefs into being consumed by the truth. We have to expose them, right? We can't bring truth into illusion. We have to expose the illusion to be taken by truth when we decide to give it up. You can't do that unless you take responsibility for having made and participated with involving and wrapping up your identity in those beliefs. So I think some people get confused about what this is for, and this might turn some people off to it, but that we will snap our fingers and live in Eden. And that's not what the evolution of this form, what light codes, what I believe that is coming, at least through me. I can't speak for what other people discern and what comes through them, but it is for bringing as much fortitude, as much strength, as much light, that we can walk in as much light, as much happiness, as much joy, as much peace as we can as we walk through the center of this transformation. Because if it were to be that we could snap our fingers and not be this way anymore, don't you think the emissaries of the One would have already done so for us? It is to take personal responsibility for the world we have made, to unmake it through the forgiveness of doing so. You cannot forgive what you do not expose. And so as we move through this time of collapse of everything, I think Carrie said something about every single part of the world we see, what I would call the world of the dream, will be crushed into powder. And we have to let that happen in order for the emergence and the embodiment of a higher form, which I'm going to tell you right now is not based on anything that the world at large collectively in separation currently believes. Now, I focus a lot on unity consciousness because I believe that it is in our acceptance of our healed state in reality that we are healed. And so I believe that the most powerful way we can do that is to spend as much time in direct experience and transcendental experience of the divine, which we are, and everyone on earth can do at any moment if they so choose. That's why I don't get into too much detail about the vision that I see. I synthesize it in abstraction because the mind works at abstraction, and the level at which I am clearing this through my sight of it is at levels of abstraction that move through time and space, that are not localized into particular events, but run through the entire current of time-space, just based on the virtue of the level of sight at which I have immersed myself into and the dedication that I have committed to in my sight of it, so I could know myself the most free, and I offer it to other people so that I can understand myself deeper, because we are sharing one life. Our individual beliefs about what we think and see in separation and what we project in perception is individual to everyone. So I don't want to focus at that level. I want to focus at a more, collective, abstract level, because that is how I am perceiving our minds to be working. And to make ourselves ready for reality, which is love And while we hold on to all of these beliefs and limitation, we don't. And love is not allowed in where it's not allowed. If you're holding fear, you won't allow love in. You are holding its opposition. And so, I was thinking about this a lot in the way that oppositional beliefs work in the larger culture, cancel culture, and all of these things. People who would say they are on the side of righteousness and yet so fiercely and sometimes violently condemn those who do not agree with them. Well, you are not then standing for tolerance. You're also standing for opposition. It's just that you believe you're righteous, and so that you can sort of quash or destroy this other person based on their opinion that you don't agree with. That's not acceptance. That's tyranny. And because we hold righteousness in what our beliefs are, because we believe that they're real because we made them, we think we are justified in doing so. And that does not promote the level of sight that we need to hold in order to move through the collapse of the world that is happening now. And it happens at all different levels. So you can think about that in terms of culture wars, gender wars, certainly political and geopolitical situations. This is Spirit calling us when we practice taking this deeper sight, which I'm sure a lot of people will think is not as helpful in the level of abstraction in which we offer it, but we can only bring change at the level of that abstraction, and then let that strength inform our sight at lower levels. And it is not that the lower levels should be abandoned. It is that your belief in your identity within them, that you only exist at those lower levels, that needs to be abandoned. And so I wanted to do a session today for everyone that is to really release these unconscious beliefs, or to bring them into the light. And so if you need to pause and get a journal out, or whatever way you want to sort of work with it to make it meaningful for you individually, because that is how you're experiencing your life, I encourage you to do so, or listen more than once, or however you want to do it. Because in a lot of the videos recently, we've been talking about discernment, and that was something that Carrie had brought up too. And I thought, yes, what the discernment at the level of how have you been functioning in your identity-based belief system? What has not worked? What is not working? Sometimes this is unconscious to us, right? And so part of this work is to assist to bring the unconscious into the conscious, so that it can be reckoned with and forgiven and released, so that we don't choose that way anymore. So we can really be strength for ourselves first, so then that which we can offer to others to move through this time, because it is collapsing. It is going to be painful, because we live in bodies that still are very much rooted in the belief in pain, right? Our reality is that, abstraction beyond what you could describe, and we are not here to describe it. But the embodied experience, you can still hold the goal of fulfilling your function of happiness, which God laid for us, while understanding that moving through this physical plane with that goal will bring you into opposition, because that's the rules of this game of the ego in that. And it is your job to be strong enough to walk continuously through the center of that. They're not tests. It's not punishment. It is a refinement, but it's a refinement that you chose. It's very important that we do not take an oppositional stance to the universe to think that the universe is doing this to us. That is never how it works. This is all by choice. And so that's why revealing these unconscious levels is so powerful, because we understand that we are making choices at levels that we have long forgotten, but it is well within our power to remember them. And so the first one that I want to bring up is this idea of seeking evidence, seeking validation or proof of your own worthiness or your spiritual know-how or whatever kind of value base you are working with here in the physical result. I've been saying this since I started doing this work publicly 4 years ago. We are not here to build in a dying world. And the longer you have attachment to desiring effects in a dying world, the more you're going to suffer. So we really want to bring up where we're still attached to. And you don't have to answer all of this right now. If you hold this in mind while you are moving through your day-to-day, I think it will become very obvious to you, because it's where these friction points are. So allowing this, understanding that the healing that comes through, the Holy Spirit that comes through us here, yes, will not come unless you believe that it can come through you. You must declare that it comes through you for it to come. That is what your choice is. You must accept that that is your function. It doesn't, that's false humility to say that the Holy Spirit could not come through you. That is the beingness of Christ. That is being one, that is allowing Christ's vision to move through your form. To be the light of the world. Yes, you must. That is to receive God's judgment. That is to follow the call. Sansiti etogorui shiporoku yetayinium nioroku yisitsiatoyashi. And we were saying this in the member video, but if it continues to be so hard, readjust where you are thinking from, what beliefs you are thinking from, what identity you are thinking from and associating within your mind. And catastrophizing meaning making of physical actions. We're being asked to withdraw that. Or else the pieces of yourself that you believe live in it, as it crumbles, will crumble, and you will feel that, because that is how we have embodied, that is how we have chosen to embody ourselves in separation. It need not be, but it will be painful as you continue to cling to your desire of it. And so we want to bring up where our desires of it are. And that is most powerfully done when you can see it for yourself. I can help you see it, but I can't make the decision for you. And because this is such a deeply mystical way, so I have a list of 5 things here, aside from what we just mentioned, that was really coming through. So they are very much based in this. There is a strong belief that suffering is proof of spiritual correctness, right? Unconsciously, deep carrying. If the work is real, it must be hard, it must be unstable, or I must sacrifice. If you believe that giving up investment in the physical world, in the dying world, in the world of the dream, an illusion, if you believe that world is real, that will, withdrawing your attention, withdrawing your participation, withdrawing your identity from it, will be a sacrifice to you. The work is to align with your reality so that you can see the world for what it is, which is not real. The baseline of this work is to accept that this world is not real. This is a confection of our imagination. So that you can divest. This is nervous system healing also. This is to align your nervous system with plasmic architecture, which is a real 4th state of matter that you can definitely look up on the internet. Most matter in the universe is made out of plasma, all stars. This is not just woo-woo spiritual language. This is observable. Plasma has observable physical effects, should you so want to investigate them. We understand very little of it, but there are representations of that here. But in order to hook up with that or know yourself there already, which is what it really is, you have to turn your attention away from where it is not. So all of these narratives that are held on this, if we're going to use this language, we could say carbon-based genetic structure. So basing it on this idea of sacrifice, that life must be a sacrifice to be worthy, be pure, be valuable, be worth it. That creates a nervous system that is constantly on alert, even when nothing is wrong. We loosen this, we let this go of our identity in this, which allows the benefits of our healing to become embodied, which is to expand into this plasmic consciousness, this next evolution of humanity. We are loosening grip on outcomes, on the reception of just ourselves in general, of how we are in the world. This allows us to transmit, to express, to be more aligned with creation, rather than constantly self-monitoring, which is tyranny. Related to number 1, we are loosening this idea of martyrdom, of crucifixion, or of priestess wounds, storylines, and trauma. This is so deeply rooted. As more of your expression, as more of your remembrance comes through your embodiment, what the opposition that it's met with here in the world of opposition-based beliefs is going to be these wounds. And the more that you identify with them as you're seeing yourself from them, the harder it will be for you to allow yourself to express in joy. We are still meant to be in joy even as the old world collapses, because it is the joy which allows us to remember that we're alive, that we live, that it's not catastrophe, because we remember that the world is a dream made out of nothing. But all of those participating in the dream, the dreamers are the Son of God. The dreamers are ourself. Fractals of our one self. God has one son, one. That life we all share. So that could not be abandoned. You could not just, why would you just pop off? You know, if you really saw that way, you would not just pop off, and you would help them remember so that you can understand yourself, so that you can know yourself whole. And joy is the mechanism that leads us to fulfillment in the now, not proving, reconnection to communication, love as communication, so that we keep going, so that we don't want to die, so that we don't want to give up, so that we don't just say, F it, I don't care. I'll go do whatever. That comes from within us and is not dependent on physical events. Because physical events, I'm so sorry if this is the first time that you are reckoning with the idea that the world is forever changed. I grew up in the 90s. We're never getting that world back. You know, that is not happening. It is not ever going back to the way it was. After you have taken your time to grieve that and to allow that to extend whatever grief is held extremely unconsciously for you, because everything here is for our benefit, everything here is our spiritual teacher, that you then ask Spirit, ask your highest self, ask your inner being for assistance in discernment, so that you can see where you are still operating out of your identity in that world. And if you get very upset because your efforts are not producing results in that world, Maybe you can reassess your why, as they say. You can get back into, oh, I forgot that my goal was to evolve. My goal is to evolve, so I'm not going to look to the dying world to see. I'm going to look to my eternal beingness. Sindri toruku ita mahancha karato koruku. This is why I always say, and I have said from the beginning, that we really, really practice this discernment. We practice this neutrality, because as we kind of bring these unconscious beliefs, which look like hell. We live in hell. We made hell. Hell is an idea we made up. And so what we are revealing, and we can see this on the global stage, and you can see it when you hate yourself, is disgusting. So when you rest in the neutrality of your eternal being, it just feels less horrible. And that takes an incredible amount of effort and practice, because we live in bodies that believe the world is real. And that is the work, and it does continue as we move forward in time. Yes, we come back and we return to the reality of our eternal being, which is love. Yes, we do not live in reality, my friends. We live in a dream. How much of reality can you remember as you walk through the dream? But it is because you will continue to walk through the dream, so you're going to need that basis in reality to not absolutely lose your shit. Because we can see everybody, so many people. I mean, there's a lot of people who hold remembrance, but there's so many people in the world who their remembrance is so deeply hidden under forgetfulness that they need help. And you don't have to go out and help them by like holding their hands and telling them about Jesus. You can help them by holding as much remembrance as you're capable of doing, but you have to accept that for yourself first, and not look to these sacrificial lambs, these martyrdom, these crucifixions, these priestess hunting and the martyrdom there and the trauma there from throughout timelines. Because there's vengeance there, and the ego will highlight your vengeance for you to continue to participate in the world of hell as long as you hold it. And so we are going deeper into releasing self-judgment for needing safety, stability, for wanting or having physical needs. Money, support, stability, ease. Wanting, needing any of these things in your body does not mean you are less devoted or trustworthy. It is an incredibly advanced belief to move without fear when things are as unstable as they are. To fully trust that needs are illusions, that is an incredibly advanced belief that your body does not hold. It is your mind somewhere in the reality which we interface with, and each moment that we expand ourselves into the awareness and we become that reality back in our awareness, we never left it, we're never not that. When we allow ourselves to be that which we are, then needs are gone. So that's why I keep saying, the more that you can practice holding that in the redirection of your mind, the easier it gets. I'm not saying it is a magic wand. I don't believe in magic. I believe in very natural expression of different dimensionalities of form. So, you are not your body, but you move about in a body. And to not judge yourself for the needs of the body, but to continuously allow spirit, in whatever way spirit wants to come through to assist you, allow it. Don't lose sight of the fact that we live in a realm where these farcical, imitations for core attributes of what is your eternal self, stable, safe, abundant, supported, whole, powerful, creative, all of these things, these are of the eternal reality. What we have in this world is Plato's cave, false imitations of these things based on an idea that they need to come from outside of yourself. While you are switching that reversal current back to the current of creation, it is not helping you to be in so much judgment of yourself. Lastly, we're releasing the belief that doubt means that you are doing it wrong. Again, you are remembering that you are not a body while you are in a body. Your remembrance of not being a body projects a different body. You are in the form while this is taking place. Your consciousness is in the form that is crumbling as it is evolving, as it is expanding, as it is remembering, as it is reunifying with the solar system. First, kiataiti atoko rukui piatai. Hinintia sorkum shikiritiatait. Kindara korukuin mitinindirisiatos. So as we hold these intentions, Kinitauruku shipitoyon sotokonat, kitaratu himmisitsiti, kini andraya koruku insi koyoshitri kaistaya tayita, himiana ritision zoru rukuimiti atakoruku yositsi, hinyondoro isin sana inshiata. You can hold the vision of the truth. You can hold the vision of reality, yes? Koruku, ratisikianat. And that is what we are meant to do with our imaginational space, with our power of alignment with creation. Sansioru kipayashitis. But don't match your effectiveness or your worth by how close that looks to you in your physical world, because that's not the point. Kianain siorukum sin sitri kinindriti sin sikianaini toyonor kiata kinaitiat. Arruyo sun sini shamayanarat. Kur kunshi kinindriti si kayasu. Sin shiriti si siatai siatat. And I don't say that to say that you cannot have things or that your life will be difficult. That's the whole point of this, is to say that that's not the point of your life. But it is simultaneously, you need to be able to understand that the world is collapsing. The old world is collapsing. And is that not what you wanted when you started doing this work? You felt like there was something wrong with the world you were living in. You felt like there was more to existence than it could not possibly just be this. I cannot possibly just be a very limited being who walks around in a body and then dies, and then that's it, that's over. There was something calling you that was singing your song, was singing the song of your soul, and you followed that song. And you are following that song out of time. But while you do so, you unravel time as you walk through it. And the more that you can develop a practice of returning to peace, then all of this plasmic expansion becomes much more fun, because it is supposed to be. We're rediscovering so much more of ourselves. There's so much more physics that we don't understand, and we can experience it from inside our own consciousness, because that's what it's all made out of. So that's awesome. That's super cool. And the more that we can, that's what I was talking about, joy, the more that we can allow ourselves to access and be in that joy, in that exploration, in that creativity, the easier it will be to move through and see the bird's eye view, the vantage point from above at what's going on in the world. And so the more time you kind of spend there, knowing that you are not a body, but offering peace, offering love, offering non-judgment, or the judgment of God, as much as you can allow spirit through you, which is that you are eternal creation itself. You are one with God. There is nothing to fear. You are eternal. The world is a dream. That would be your alignment with spirit. That would be the judgment that you give to seeing the false as false. But, and that's why we sometimes get afraid that we're contradicting ourselves, but it is this sort of fine line as we move through embodiment, that the reason why we are so adamant on describing the easiest way to do this, or the most direct way, is because the world is falling apart and it looks like shit and it is painful and scary. So it will be less painful and less scary the more you divest your reality from it. Just taking some nice deep breaths, coming back into this moment of self. Allowing whatever time for processing you may need, remembering this is deep field work, and so we don't want to just rush into doing other things. We want to really stabilize the field into this moment, really deeply intend to work with these energies as you have space in your embodiment to do so. This work is not meant to destabilize you. It is meant to anchor you into a deep, deep peace which is your own, to remember the life that is your own. Amen. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you next time. God bless you.